went to court in my head, and I was pleading with the judge, right? That this should not happen, that we should let her die. And then my brother was there with his attorney, right? And I had my attorney, and we were both arguing. And then I got to the stand, and I was saying that I was the oldest, right? And that, that I was the executor, that I should know better, that my mother really didn't want this, right? And how selfish he was with his decision, wanted to keep her alive, right? And that I knew better. And it was very vivid. It was very vivid, right? Has that ever happened to you? For like in 1 second, it's like a whole story. Okay. Right? So everybody had their attorneys, and there was a judge. It was very quick. And so then my brother looked at me like, what are you going to do about it, right? He just looked at me, but in my head, he's like, what are you going to do about it? I've been here with her, you are in the States, and why do you care, and blah, 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 blah. So then I was back in my head saying, I'm the oldest, and I should know better. And I was ready to let him know that we were not going to do what he was suggesting, because clearly he was wrong, and I was right. And just as I was about to open my mouth, in my mind, I heard, fighting is the last thing you need. And this happened just like this, And then my mouth said, we will do what you want. And my ears heard that, and they were shocked. Because that's not at all what I wanted, or what I thought we should do, right? And so I just tell that story because sometimes it looks to us like we have to be open, right? Or we have to be quiet in our minds. And what I know for sure is that that's not true. That we can have spontaneously an insight that will take us to a direction that we don't even want to go. But it's clearly the direction to go. So I wanted to tell you this because in spite of our common thinking, we're talking about like life force, right? So we're talking about what helps us regenerate our body, keeps the ocean like doing what the ocean does, and the stars, and the planet. Tell me if I'm going out too far here, sorry. And what's expanding the universe, right? So do you think that we have to be open-minded for it to show up? Right? Now, we may not be able to hear it because we're so noisy, right?
Busy-minded.
Right? We may not be able to hear it because we're like, no, I'm the oldest and I'm the blah, 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 blah. Listen to my attorney and their attorney, the whole thing. But the universe is speaking to us. Insight is speaking to us. Wisdom is speaking to us. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you for allowing me to say this. Because really, when we kind of, wait, I'm laughing so much.
I thought you'd finish and I want to grab the whole mic.
I thought you were having this great insight. You're like, give me the mic, give me the mic. Because sometimes I just think how silly, right? That I think I have to be quiet, right? And I think I have to be quiet, right? I think I have to be open-minded. I think I have to do all this stuff that I have to do. Fortunately, we don't.
Don't know what to say now. Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful when we can see those moments when we're running that train of thought, and it's a thought that we've been running all our lives, or most of our lives. For me, that situation what Gabby just shared, that's shown up for me. I've been running thinking that I've been running all my life, and feeling the thinking that I've been running all my life. And then something comes out my mouth that I totally didn't expect. And I think one of the most biggest ones for me, I couldn't even talk about outside of the principles. I didn't have this understanding to that level at the time. And I don't know if I've shared it to you guys before, but I know I've shared it where when I was in prison and I first got this understanding, there was a conference going on within the prison, and I didn't have no confidence. I'm not a talker, I've never spoke before, I've never given talks. But there was somebody that I knew that if I mentioned that I wanted to come to the conference, he was a bit of a blabbermouth. And he would have blabbed straight to Jacqueline and said, "Oh, Derrick wants to talk," and she would have come, "Yeah, Derrick, you're talking." And I ran that scenario in my head and I said, "Right, don't mention it to Mal. Don't mention it to him." And as soon as I got there, I sat down and I just went, "I wouldn't mind talking, you know." And in my face heard it. And I thought, "What did you do that for? You know what he's going to..." And as I was thinking, you know what he's going to do, he just went, "Jacqueline, Jacqueline, Jacqueline." And I sat there and I thought, now he's going to call her over and he's going to say, "Derrick wants to talk." That bit I overplanned it, because he called her over and goes, "Yeah, Derrick wants to talk to you." And I was like, "What? I think I might want to say something at this conference, you know." And she was like, "Tell me what you see." And I was like, I just told her, and she goes, "All right, you're talking." And I spoke at that conference in a prison setting where I didn't have no confidence. I thought all the people in the audience were looking down at me and they were pitying me because you're in prison, we just turned out to hear whatever rubbish you've got to say. And I sat on that stage with 3 other prisoners and I shared a story, and it proper melted me. I felt at home, I felt comfortable, I felt connected. And it comes to me like, wow, there was something going on back there from that conversation. I sort of knew what was going to happen. But my wisdom from inside out said, forget that thinking what you're going to do, we're doing it this way. Because they probably knew what was in life. And if I never said that to that guy, I would not be here now. I would not be here now. I probably would have went to that conference being an observer and said, "Oh wow, I wish I could do that." And if we bring it back 2 years after that, when I went to the 3P UK conference, and another guy that was in prison with Dave Saunders, he was giving a main talk, and he's standing on the main stage, and I'm looking at him thinking, wow, I could never do that. No. 3 years later, I'm standing on the same stage. And I didn't have to build up to it, I didn't have to say, right, now I'm that person who does that. Apparently, I am that person who does that. And it doesn't take effort, and it feels home, it feels comfortable. There's a little bit of uncomfortability about it, but that's the uncomfortability that I've built up for the unknown. Anything unknown, I'm sort of like all frightened of it. And I was saying to Gabby earlier that now I'm so willing to be not knowing and learn something. When I say I don't know something, I'm sort of opening up myself to learn something. And if I say I know something, I'm shutting it off to learn. And I've sort of seen that all the information, everything that I know is about this big. No, it's about this big. But what I don't know is as big as the observable universe.
And beyond.
And that is the space. If I know there's that much out there for me to learn and for me to know, which can help me to grow, then I'll happily say I don't know anything and continue to learn. And as I learn, this is what I was saying earlier, the more I learn, the more I see it in groups I run, or when I'm talking to somebody, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, when I talk to people, I get upset and I don't talk to them for a couple of days." And I'll be like, "That sounds so. I used to do that. Oh, when was the last time I done it? I done it for a couple of years. Oh yeah, I used to do that." And that's when I realised I stopped doing it. Not having to make the effort to stop doing it. Something just fell away and I just stopped doing it. And I've only been reminded by somebody telling me that they do that as well. And it's like, I see the similarity, but I don't do that no more. And I don't bother look why I don't do it, or try to investigate why I'm still doing this thing but not doing that thing. I'm just grateful for where I am in the moment. And that effortless transformation, when it's ready to come on me, will come on me. Because it passes through me. Whatever sticks, sticks. I'm just grateful for any little bit that sticks. That any little bit of this is tuning on, improving, and letting me tune into that life force that Gabby's talking about. And that life force is so powerful that it's taken me from a space where I didn't think I was anybody, didn't think I could do anything, into a space beyond my wildest dreams, which is speaking to lovely people, mingling, get to know. I look at it and I see so many people in this crowd from so many different phases of my life, and it's all brilliant because 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been on my radar. I would have had to have gone to college, I would have had to go to etiquette school, I would have had to go to all different types of training colleges. But I know that I don't need that because I've got everything I need inside me. And when I'm ready, it will take place.
Do you want to ask it?
Yeah, sorry.
No.
About the ingredients for making chocolate. Is there any comments or questions on what we said?
Gabby, I really love what you said. I'm a nurse, and that scenario of a family in a struggle, what struck me about the conclusion that came out of your mouth, that came out of nowhere, is there is no right answer to that dilemma. But what you opened up was a possibility for the doctors and nurses to go, oh, good.
Thank God.
And your mom, she felt that. The peace between her children. And it was just that it's not about the content, about any of this stuff. It's that wisdom in the moment. You know, Derrick could have talked directly to Jacqueline. Didn't have to have a mediator necessarily. There is no right answer. And that's what's so beautiful to me about the principles is this process, this internal processor that we have. And as a nurse, I've been using the, we breathe without thinking about it, we take in the right amount of, that whole homeostasis kind of thing that's a real techie term for the healthcare field. And just yesterday, somehow the words, well, I don't know, you people from Europe, what do you call 98.6? Temperature, body temperature.
Your normal body temperature, your 32 centigrade. 32 centigrade.
So for most people we know it's going to be 32 centigrade. Your body's at 32 centigrade whether it's the middle of the winter, whether it's the hot sun, whether you've got extra clothes on, whether you just went for a run. Your body stays at, what was it, 32?
32.
37. Oh,
Well, 37.
Yeah.
No.
In the United States, it's 98.6. And I was like, that is such a steady thing that if you took your temperature in the winter and it was higher than that, you go, oh, there's something interesting here going on, right? You took it in the summertime and it was higher than, like, it's always that way. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Yeah, so just those two things of the steady thrum of that life force, we can't manage it. We can't label it. It's just working on our behalf. Who said that? Was that Mark Howard? It always has our back.
No, it's the guy that
Somebody said that today.
talked to.
Dominic.
Dominic.
Yeah. Always has our back, yeah. So thank you.
I could just speak to that a little bit as well. You want to speak to that? Speak to that a little bit more, where the mind always has our back. Whereas it might feel uncomfortable, I think he was talking about as well. And just to give another scenario of somebody else that got this understanding and they happen to end up in prison just recently.
Sounding quite bad having this understanding.
You too can end up with prison. You too can.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing to say about that. But anyway, this person, he was, he had a little cord and the universe was nudging him. So he told me, do you know what, you can come and stay at my flat because I'm going to go away, I just need to get away. I goes, where are you going? He goes, I just need to get away. I said, where are you going? I don't know. I said, no, I'm not going to stay at your flat. Then you turn up 2 days later and say, do you know what, I'm back, get out. And so I just said, no, that don't sound too solid. He's like, all right, forget that idea. About 3 months later, he said, I booked a ticket to go to Turkey. I just need time out. I'm going to Turkey next week. I said, all right. next week he said, I have to cancel it. Why did you cancel it? I rebooked it for next week because I wasn't in the right headspace and I've got too much going on. I was like, all right, cool. Next week he phoned me, yeah, I'm going to tomorrow morning, I'll see you next week. 2 days later, I walk in and I see the guy walking. I said, you back already? He goes, oh, I didn't go, man, the night before. I had so much on my head. I said, you meant to go there with all of that on your head, leave it there, and come back. He's like, no, I just couldn't go. He got into a mad thing, he slashed someone's tyre, and then he got sent to prison. And then when I was talking to him on the phone, I said, do you see the universe was nudging you? It was telling you need a break. He had a lot of stuff going on. So at first he had his own idea, I'm going to go on holiday. I'm just going to go on a break. That was his own idea. The second one, somebody was going to Turkey, and they said, you should come with us. So he booked the ticket, but then didn't go. And then the third one, the universe just said, you're not listening. So then, and then he went to prison for 2 weeks. So it was only 2 weeks. So the light's still there. So he went to prison for 2 weeks. And then I was speaking to him like the day before I came out, 2 days ago. And he was just in the most amazing, beautiful space. And he can sort of reflect back and see how the universe was pointing and nudging him. But then it had to just do what, but it always had his back in whatever form that takes. And when we sort of realise that and understand that, we can sort of see them cues a bit earlier. So next time I have a thought, I need to get away. Try to follow that. That's come from somewhere. But my intellect doesn't know where it's come from, so my intellect gets all over it and says, no, that's not a good idea. But if we know those thoughts that just come from nowhere, that's coming from that life force that's feeding our life force to keep us going in that same way. I just love those little nudges that we get. And like I said, it can come, the guy shared this morning about being in a coma. It can come through any shape or form, and we think it's been sent to test us, it's been sent to destroy us. Even my year that I've had has been not a good year. And I've lost all my jobs, I became homeless, just all terrible, and I said, you know what, the universe just scrunched me up as a bit of paper and just thrown me away. So I said, right, where's the nearest bridge? Because I just need to do that job. And I said, you know what, it's either that or the universe is telling me I need to go in that direction. And I know which one I would rather buy into. I know the universe doesn't destroy. The universe just points and cajoles and shifts. And the more you fight it, the more it has to put more energy into it. And say, right, you go over there because you're not listening. And eventually, I listen. Yeah? So when we listen, we open ourselves up to tuning up into that life force and learning what that feels like. And it's a beautiful feeling. When you know it, you will follow it.
It was funny because I thought about this the first share, like when something happens that we really don't like, the answer would be go within and listen. And now when you're sharing that, I remember someone told me about the feather, the brick, and the bus.
Sorry?
The feather, the brick, and the bus.
Yeah.
So at first you get a small nudge, it's like a feather tickling you. Hey, And if that doesn't help, the brick comes along. And if you still don't listen, the bus is hitting you. So, and in the meantime, we always have the choice. When we know we have a choice, because that's the thing. If you don't know we have a choice, we are so much worse off. But when we know we have a choice, we can go inside and we can listen. And to see look after that GPS, what it's, where, oh, I didn't hear it, or I didn't look at it even. When we start to get lost, it's a good idea to do that.
Hearing the story about the GPS, the sat-nav, I had a flashback to a training I did in public speaking some years ago, where in the days when those devices were portable, you stuck it on the dashboard of the car. And we'd been doing breathing exercises, and the room was really quiet. And somebody's handbag said, "You have arrived at your destination." And now I'm
destination.
right? I just want to say, we are always at the destination. Even if we don't listen the first time, and even if we get hit by the bus, right? Or the brick. Or if we get slapped around a little bit. Even under those conditions, what we are cannot change, and it's not damaged, right? And so that's great. There was one thing that I wanted to share with you is that you can make a mistake, you cannot listen, you can get stuck in your thinking, you can get stuck in your ego, right? You can feel hopeless, and even then, you're still alive in your version. And so even at our worst, or even in prison, or even out of prison, or even, in the highs and even in the lows, we cannot stop being what we are. We cannot separate ourselves from what we are. So we can make mistakes, and we can not listen. We can get, no, I don't want to. Then, how can you separate yourself from what we are? And I just love that. I love that I don't have to be at my best behavior. And I love that I can make mistakes. And that even then, my essence is pure and it's divine. And I love that for others too, because there's this gentleness, right? There's I see you even at your worst, and even if you're in jail, and even if you're mean, and even if you're mad, and even if you have an addiction, and even if you don't feel really good, even then, and I just think that's fantastic. So thank you, Omar. Sorry. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet. Thank you for being here and showing up and allowing us to just be together.
Thank you for that. It's beautiful, so beautiful. Just take it back a bit to say, when we was having a little debrief or just having a conversation about what we were going to talk about, I think we spent most of the time talking about insightful things, and I think we're going to share. And then just right at the end of off-course, I mentioned Omar. And she goes, "Oh, who's Omar?" Well, tell me about Omar. And the way she just felt it, she just said, "Oh, that's what we're talking about. We're dedicating it to Omar." So I just want to thank you, Gabriela. No, seriously, I just want to say thank you for being so open, and like you said, it hit you there, and that's where the life force resides. And when we feel that it's being spoken to, then we can only but respond to it in the most beautiful way. And like I said, even though Omar's not here, I feel like he's here. He's a spirit, and whatever he is doing now, I just know that he's got that opportunity to reset and just become the greatest version of himself, no matter what he's doing or where he is right now. We've all got that ability. We've all got, no matter what's going on outside of this room, we can overcome it. And we can see that transformation from within starts within. And when we get a love for ourselves and a love for that life force that we are connected to, and the separation that we keep on telling ourselves, drop out of that space, just go into that full life force that we are, which connects us all together. The same life force Gabby's talking about that connects us all. Lets us understand each other, makes me look at somebody and can relate to them without having to exchange words. That's the life force I'm talking about, and we can all tune into that. And our physical life, our physical reality changes with that when we understand the wholeness and the love that is inside of us. Once again, I want to thank you, Gabby, for bringing it out, and thank you guys for turning up.